Essential EGL+Batch. This video series is based upon EGL Development Tools version 0.8. This is lesson number 11. In this lesson, we'll work with the record. So we'll create a new package, as usual. And we'll do something a little bit different. That instead of using a new library or a new program, we're going to use a new source file. This is an EGL source file. The name of the source file will be version info. We are going to use a record type, and a record is basically a collection of fields or a collection of variables. Then you can use the record as a container for all these different fields. And when we create the library, we'll also use source file. And the name of the library is version lib. When we use source file, it doesn't put in additional comments, it doesn't give you examples of things, and you have to know what EGL code to put in. This is really good for a record, creating a record in its own source file. And as usual, we'll create a function called demo in our library. And this function is going to call a function called show version info. So it'll be a private function, and we'll do the decoration using the batch lib from lesson 6. Okay, now we need to create a function called get version info. And the purpose of this function is to populate a record called version info and return it. So we have a returns clause that tells us the name of the type that it's going to return. And as a convention, I'm going to call it result. And then notice that when I put in result.name, when I put in result dot, it gives me a list of the fields that are in the record. So to access a particular field, like to set it or get it, we use the name of the variable dot and then the name of the field in the record. When we go back to show version info, I'm going to get a copy of the version info in a variable called info. And then I'm going to write out the information to the console. Now right now, get version info is using a C or Java style way of populating a record. We'll get back to that in a moment. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to format it with EGL source and format. Let's right click EGL source and format. And now we're going to create a new program. So I click on the icon for the view and create a new source file again. And this time I'm going to put in the program. Now when I put in a program, one of the requirements of a program is you have to have a function called main. So it's an error. The error message will show up until you put in a function called main. And let me do the usual decoration for a program, including the batch lib. And we're going to call version lib.demo. Oh, let me change it to program. Let's run this. Let's take this for a test drive and see what we have. I click on the console icon to bring up the console, and we have lesson 11, show version. And you notice the version info is lesson 11-0.0.0, and that's the end of the program. Now we used the C or Java style of creating the record. Let's switch this now to do the EGL way of doing things. I'm going to use EGL source and toggle comment to to change the comment for a selected text. I'll use source format again, EGL source format, to format that. And then I'm going to do this with the EGL way of doing things. So in the curly brackets, we can actually initialize the fields in a record. And it's a comma delimited list. And so in one line of code, it's actually very efficient in EGL. It's one line of code. And I don't like the way this looks particularly, so I'm going to select this and press the Tab key, and it'll shift the entire selected text, one column. That looks a little bit better. Not that it does anything with the performance or behavior of the program, it just looks a little bit better. I'll run this again. This has been another lesson in Essential EGL Batch. Thanks for watching.